Well, the Browns shocking 31-30 losers here at FirstEnergy Stadium in their home opener. Instead of going 2-0 for the first time since 1993, Mary Kay, they made a little bit of different history today.
Oh my goodness. I mean, none of us can even still believe what happened. Same thing for Browns fans everywhere, I'm sure. But since 2001, 2,229 teams had won games when they were up by 13 points with 2 minutes or less at the end of the game. The Browns basically made history today with this colossal, epic meltdown.
Yeah, Ashley, there's so much to get into, so let's just go through this piece by piece here. Let's start with the secondary. We saw it last week, blown coverages, the Robbie Anderson play. This week it was the Corey Davis play. This secondary is a little bit of a mess right now.
Yeah, and they know it, right? Like, we heard Greg Newsome talk this week about they know they have to fix these miscommunications because it's really obvious when you're a defensive player and those happen because you give up big chunk plays a lot of the time. And I talked to Greg Newsome after this game, and he's very, I think openly kind of frustrated that the same issues are happening. And he said it's a matter of these guys getting together and talking. I asked him a little bit, do you think it's because you and Denzel missed some time? Were you guys anticipating this might be an issue? And he said no, that it's kind of caught them by surprise. So I think this is an interesting challenge for them.
And Mary Kay, John Johnson he tried to at least explain it as best he could.
Yeah, he was mystified and miffed and all of those things too. But he said what they have to do is have a hand signal or some kind of a verbal cue or something where they all know who is supposed to be doing what. He said the messages are getting sent, but they are not getting received. He was very adamant about that. He thinks they can get it fixed.
And of course, Grant Delpit, who was part of that big play to Corey Davis, he declined to speak today when he was asked. Now, two other things. Cade York. Highest of highs last week, Mary Kay. Kind of lowest of lows this week.
I mean, incredible. We watch him make 70-yard kicks out here, and he misses an extra point, which of course loomed huge at the end when they lost 31-30. So yes, on that last touchdown of Nick Chubb's, he doesn't make the kick. That was absolutely incredible. Very, very hard to believe. He is the reigning AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. He's in his home stadium. The weather was beautiful. What happened?
Ashley, I almost tweeted when he missed that, like, hey, at least get your miss out of the way when it doesn't matter. I'm glad I did not tweet that.
Thank goodness you didn't tweet that. That would have been on Cold Takes Exposed probably so quickly. But yeah, it was interesting to I just did this deep dive into Cade York and who he is as a person and what drives him and this pursuit for perfection. And after the game, we talked to him about how you regroup and go forward from here. And his quote was, get mad. He used a different word. And go make the next one. And that I think sums up his philosophy, that he knows he can't make every kick, but he always thinks he's going to make the next one to give himself a chance. So I wrote, this is his first true test as an NFL player to see if his process of regrouping and learning really works.
And one last thing, Nick Chubb scoring with 1:55 left. At the time, I didn't think much of it. Twitter kind of picked up a little bit on it, but then Mary Kay, I was reading through quotes from the Jets. Most of them said this gave us a chance because when you look back, he could have gone out of bounds, he could have taken a knee, and the Browns could have knelt out the clock because he would have had a first down inside the 2. And on the one hand, it's Nick Chubb. He was great today. On the other, this team prides itself on being smart and being ahead of the game and making sure that these little details are noted.
Yes, I mean, Kevin Stefanski, they do so much situational football, and these are kinds of things they go over and over and over. Robert Saleh, the Jets coach, was ecstatic that they gave them that opportunity. Joe Flacco mentioned it too. I mean, it was just something that you can't do at the end of a game. We have seen Nick Chubb actually do the right thing at the end of the game before in his career. So it was unfortunate for the Browns and for their players and their fans who went home so mad and upset that it worked out like that.
And Chubb also not available after the game. Ashley, I mean, this is hindsight. I don't know if you were on it right when it happened or not. I know I was not, but when you kind of hear the Jets talk about it, you realize, this was a big moment.
Yeah, and it's kind of surprised because, like Mary Kay said, we've seen him do this exact thing before, so it's that awareness that he typically has, that the Browns normally have, that Kevin Stefanski normally has, and that we've seen it happen before. So that kind of makes it more interesting that, the Jets were almost expecting it, and that was probably part of why, because there's a history of him doing things like that.
All right, well, the Browns 31-30 losers, look good. For their sake, they get a quick turnaround. They've got the Steelers coming to town. Their offense is struggling as they come to Cleveland, but the Browns are licking their wounds after a devastating loss in the final minute 55, giving up 2 scores, 31-30 to the Jets.